So I get a call like at 6:45. BV, go to Smart right now. We'd been in here the night before till like 1 in the morning or something, and it literally rammed this whole wall and was sticking in about right up to the glass here.
Oh, up to the glass?
Yeah.
And was the guy okay?
Yeah. I mean, he was in a backhoe.
Yeah.
And we had
That's not funny
the
at all.
drums. Luckily, sometimes they put the drums here. Most of the drums are out in the room.
So that's why the brick is different, right? Or was it different before?
No, that's why we changed it. Yeah.
It's
If that had happened at night, somebody might have been
doing
killed.
vocal in there.
And it's scary to comprehend.
The Nirvana demo was done in the old
old studio, yeah, before this room
untreated
was done.
studio, and they with another drummer, right? And then they made 100 cassette copies. I'm sorry, I'm telling your story.
Yeah. So they made.
Yeah, thanks, Freedy.
Yeah. Do it right.
So they got Nirvana came here. I met him for the first time, and they're ostensibly making an album for Sub Pop. And Chad was the drummer at the time. They were here. I think we had 6 or 7 days booked, which was a luxury back then. Most bands were like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they played a show, I think, on Thursday at the downstairs in this Italian club on Park and Regent called Bunky's. There's a little pizza place.
Oh, Bunky's, yeah.
And like 50 people showed up, right?
Okay, perfect.
And
That's awesome.
Kurt blew his voice out. And so, because we were planning on doing vocals on Friday
perfect.
and Saturday, and then he literally could not sing. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just mix. I did some mixes, and then they had to go and play another gig in Cincinnati or something. They left Saturday night actually, and so I didn't hear anything. They were going to come back and finish their record. I didn't hear anything for months. I called Jonathan at Sub Pop. I go, is Nirvana coming back? He goes, you didn't hear?
Oh,
The
great. I
cassette
like
you
that
gave
line.
them, they made 100 copies and gave them out to all their friends, who then made 100 copies and gave them out to all their friends.
And so on.
But it's
So they bootlegged themselves.
It's
Yeah.
great.
But that's how all the
sound.
major labels heard them. And then they got New Bidding War and signed with Geffen.
You haven't heard?
Yeah,
Damn it. You're like,
Yeah, so that's the Smart Sessions, but we never finished. There were a couple
You didn't
things we
finish much.
never finished. So it's the coolest.
wait, you don't have anything unfinished that hasn't been released?
No, I think it's all been released at some
Okay.
point. The archives have been cleansed.
Cleared out,
I
yeah,
think.
I'm
I think
sure.
they've been cleared out.
Oh,
And
when
I
it
can't remember
flooded.
what year we had a flood.
96.
Nine-
There's still a marker of
course.
where the water was
The
up
water
to.
came like up over, would have been over our heads. Like the gear was floating around.
Oh, that's such tragic.
And I was in LA again. I got, hey Butch, oh my God, there's a flood at Smart Street.
Get over
I'm
here.
thinking, okay, there's a little water on the floor, but no, it was like 6 feet of water.
Yeah.
There's always things with the city. We used to get graffiti like every
I've gotten it a
every
few
day.
times.
And
How
then
do
the
you
city
really
would
send-
send probably you a letter. You have to remove
Oh,
the
you have
graffiti.
to,
So
yeah.
we'd go, we'd hire someone. They'd repaint it. A week later or something, there'd be graffiti
Of
up
course,
again.
That's why the paint is all just like patchworks of kind
Yeah.
of similar-ish colors.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not
yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't do the one color anymore. You get tiring.
But it certainly
Yeah.
made the place safe. No one's ever going to break in and look for gear. It looked like a warehouse or
Yeah.
abandoned building.
Or a crack house.
Or a crack
Crack
house.
house, crack house.
They never didn't say Smart Studios.
When we started the first studio in '84, Kitty Corner in the Gisholt building, this for a while was like a motorcycle party club.
Cool.
Oh,
Woohoo!
wow.
Has
So
the-
it's always had a
all
cool
these
vibe.
bikes would
It's
line
always
up,
cool.
sit on there, and then they were coming. I think someone lived down here, but and I see all these bikers coming and go. We'd be across the street. What the fuck is going on in there? And then the city shut it down, and then and this became like a deli for about a year. And Steve and I came over from across the street and go, this is gonna fail quick. There was never anybody in here. We would come and get a turkey sandwich every now and then. And then it turned into a basket shop. And I saw the
Wait,
landlord
what?
walking around
Wait,
every
what?
now
Oh
and
my
then.
God.
I said,
Yeah,
are you
selling
interested
baskets?
in
Seems odd.
selling that or leasing? He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So it ain't working for me.
and so it was like December 30th. And
Wow.
we literally called up a bunch of our music friends and just
Yeah.
got like those little trolley things, unpacked the shit, and then when cars were coming, we fucking ran across the intersection and just started loading shit in.
That's right.
It was so DIY that we didn't even have a truck or
course
anything.
not.
Just put the speakers on this trolley and run across the street. It took like 8 hours or 10 hours all day, but we got everything in. And then we were here for a long time, man, until 2010, I think. There used to be, and I saw a booth right where Vicki is. And
There you
there was
go.
not an ISO booth there, so the drums are usually put right back where that speaker is.
Okay.
And then because the room was, as I said, it was really loud, and so we could never do vocals in here, even if I tried to put baffles up. So
Even with nice, a little too much reverb.
yeah, just it was crazy loud, crushing loud. So Kurt, all the vocalists, I was put him in the ISO booth here, which was like started here and like came out of like this, so it had glass so you could see how. He did. Normally, I would put the singers in the room if they weren't tracking, because I did like a little bit of natural sound of the room, but you just couldn't do it if the drummer was playing. It was.
Oh, God, no, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Because
what
we would track live, and he would think he's done, and I'd listen, and it was either out of tune or he missed some chords, or I wanted to change the sound.
Yeah.
I go, just give me another one. Just it can be better. And he'd go, okay. So he would do one, and I would say, this is just a warm up, and I'd go all the way through
One
the
more
song.
time.
And he'd play it really tight. He was a really good rhythm guitar player, and then I'd want to double. So I go, I didn't record that. I was just, are you ready for a take
Ready
now?
for a take?
Oh.
There we go.
And he'd go, okay, Butch, and he'd do another
Yeah.
take.
That's a good producer.
But then after a while, I'd go, can you do one more? Because I said, I want to make it widescreen and split it left and right. And he'd go, okay. And he kept getting kind of upset with that because he thought double tracking was fake.
Yeah,
And I
that's
kept
all
saying,
right.
dude, John
That's
Lennon
not real.
double tracked everything.
Everything.
I said that here, and also when we were making Nevermind, he goes, I don't like to double track my voice. It's fake. I go, John Lennon did.
Listen to
He
it.
said,
That's
okay,
how
Butch.
You know he
You
did.
used everything.
Okay,
It
Butch.
should make him behave.
But I did the same thing with his vocals. I would record one and go, this is just a warm up.
Yeah, well, okay,
And
got
I
it.
would
Sounds-
record it.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that was the sort of the motto back then, always in record. When I
We
did,
don't like to do that.
when I did doubles, he didn't listen to previous tapes.
Yeah, we don't.
He just thought he
We'll
was.
try to match. We
Yeah,
don't like to do
no,
that.
he didn't do that because he was he played the rhythm same. He sang. Once we figured out the melodies and stuff, he sang them the same every time.
Yeah.
So after Chad left and Dave Grohl joined, when they came down to Sound City, we went into rehearsal for 3 days, and they were fucking so tight. And Dave Grohl, who I'd never met before, John, this fantastic dude. And he goes, well, we've been practicing every day for 6 months.
That's good.
Okay.
Like
Every day for 6 months. One of the reasons they did that, the apartment they lived in had no heat. And the rental space, it was one of those things where a lot of bands share there's like 10 bands, all these little rooms that had heat. And they would go there early in the morning, get some sandwiches, and then hang around, and they'd play all day, and then they'd stay there, or sometimes just sleep at the rehearsal space because it was, 40 degrees in their apartment, so. But they were tight,
Sounds right. Oh,
you know,
God.
which helps. Duke and Steve and I had decided to put a band together based on these remixes that we were doing. And first, we thought we would do you remember this album that came out, Golden Palominos? They had
Yeah.
different
Oh, yeah,
singers.
of course.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be cool, let's just write these songs, we'll have different singers come in. And then I think Duke was like, we should just see if we find one person who fits or has more of an identity as a band. And we had reached out to 3 or 4 other singers and didn't really find anybody who we thought was appropriate. And I don't remember what we were doing, but it was a Monday morning because Steve Marker, the guitarist, had taped 120 Minutes. Was that it?
Yeah.
It's an MTV show where they played a lot of new
yes.
videos. And Shirley Manson was in a band called Angelfish. And they played their single, Suffocate Me. And that was the only time I got played on MTV.
Whoa.
Because they're flying under the radar. Steve said, I really like this singer's voice. So we were drinking coffee, we plugged in the VCR, we watched it, wow, I loved it. She sang the song really understated. And compared to a lot of the sort of alt rock at the time, there was a lot of sort of screamo, really, rah, and she, the song, if you hear it, just like, suffocate me with your desire, suffocate me. That's how she sang. I'm like, fucking call her. And our manager, who wasn't really our manager, but she was a woman, Shannon O'Shea, who worked in London, who commissioned the remixes that I was doing. I said, can you track down the singer? Apparently she's Scottish. And Shannon, within like 2 days, Shannon called, said I got a number for her, and Shirley was at her apartment doing the dishes in Edinburgh, and Duke called. We were up drinking coffee and called. And is this Shirley Manson? He goes, I'm Duke Erickson here with Butch Vig, and we have a band, and we're wondering if you'd like to sing with us. And she was like, what? Except I can't do her accent right, but
Yeah.
anyway, and that started a process. We this is also a lot of people don't know this, but we shortly after that we flew to London, Duke and Steve and I, and went over because we just signed a deal with Mushroom, even though we didn't have a singer. And it was a cool deal because it wasn't. I think it was just for one album with an option if we wanted to, whatever. And we went to some posh hotel. We weren't staying there, but we went to a posh hotel to meet Shirley for lunch, and we spent 3 hours talking with her and just fell in love with her. And we didn't talk about music at all. We talked about food, art, culture, politics, and we drank wine, and we were just laughing, having a great time. And we were like, you should come to Madison and sing on some songs. She goes, I think I'm up for that. So we're cool. And I left to go to, Shannon had set this dinner party up at some restaurant in London with a bunch of other engineers like Alan Mulder, who I worked with in the Pumpkins, and Flood, the producer, a bunch of people. And I was looking forward to going and just nerding out, talking about gear and microphones and fucking cool shit. And got there, and I walked in, and everybody was staring at me. I go, hey, what's up? They go, do you know that Kurt Cobain is dead?
Oh, is that day?
The day I met Shirley is the day Kurt died.
Wow.
And it is literally, for me,
That's crazy.
changing of the
Yes.
guard, like a switch
Transition.
in one lane, a transition.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, holy fuck. I sat down, and I was like, I can't stay here, you guys. I gotta go. And I just got in a cab, and I went back to the hotel. I went to Heathrow and flew home.
Sure.
It was so fucking weird. By the time I got to the airport, every newspaper, Kurt Cobain is dead. Just walking through the airport, everywhere. It fucking freaked me out, man. Yeah. Anyway,
Wow, that must.
not to be
what a
morbid,
day,
but that
what
was
a
a
day.
day with literally a
That's
change in my life.
Well, that's
you know,
not
so.
morbidity, because that's.
It's what
beautiful
happened.
shift,
That's
you know?
monumental. That's
Yeah.
And Shirley had never heard any of the music that you guys were working on?
No,
She was just like,
no.
okay, these guys are cool, I'm gonna
And
fly to the US.
And we weren't here at the start. The initial jams we came up with, like Supergirl and Only Happy. I wrote Only Happy and wrote most of the lyrics on that. But even though this is our studio, we would have had to pay, a minimal rate because we had a staff. So I don't know, maybe $500 a day or something. We're like, well, fuck it, let's save money. We'll just go record in Steve's basement out on the west side. And the first day she came over, we set up a mic in Steve's living room and ran a cable down by his laundry room down the basement, where we had these ADAT just set up on a plank on a table and had a couple little small speakers set up. And we're like, well, we've got some songs. And some had nothing and said, you just want to jam on them? And she goes, okay. We found out later Shirley hates to jam. And honestly, it's hard. Okay, go in and sing. Here's a song. We should know if we'd sent it to her a week before, she could have listened to it and came up with some ideas, but we didn't have the foresight to do that. Or I can't remember, maybe, I think Shannon, our manager, said, don't send any tapes out to anybody. We're like, okay. She was being paranoid or something.
Yes.
So we roll, I don't remember what it was, Vow or Queer or something. And anyway, it said, and she's up there, and we're down there. We can't see her. We're down in the basement. Duke and Steve, what's going on? The song's going. It would go all the way through. Go, Shirley, are you okay? She go, I felt not much, but after that.
Excuse me, what?
What did she say?
She was in that movie,
Are you okay,
Snatch.
Shirley? What the hell do you want to say? And we could not
You needed a
understand.
translator. You needed a translator.
And then she finally went, I don't know what you want me to sing.
Oh my God.
She's like, what did I get myself into here?
That is
And
so funny.
and so she was there for 2 days and she tried a bunch of stuff. And it was
hilarious.
okay. We were encouraged, but I think none of us felt like we had made any headway. And then we took her to the airport. She flew back to Scotland, and then she called us 2 days later and said, I think I know what to do with these songs.
She
So
gave
we
us some
said,
time. Come on.
we're gonna put you on a plane, you come back here, and we'll move into Smart then.
Yeah,
So
we'll
then
be in the
we-
real studio this time.
Yeah, which was also a little better, so we moved into this room.
So doing my record was putting that record, you know, on hold.
Oh, got you.
I mean, I knew from my manager,
This
it's
was
like,
a good
yeah, Butch has gotta get going on this thing, the garbage, you know, and you were talking about it.
Yeah.
But you were so dedicated and kept putting in another week or a freaking month. I think you worked for minimum wage on that record, really. But
It
one,
was a great
but I
record.
remember you saying, do you know any girl singers? And I said, no, but I know this band called Ethel Meat Plow.
Yes, yeah,
That my friend Jake knew, and I love the singer.
yeah.
And so you guys called it. I never met her. So she got a call from these guys. Hey, you want to come to Madison? And she came and tried out, right?
No, she was going to. I can't
She was
remember her name
going to.
now. They were from LA, and then
I think she probably always wondered how did they get.
and we got her a ticket, and then the day she was supposed to fly, she called me and said, you know what? I don't think this is the right fit for me.
Wow.
Without
Okay, so
really
she
hearing
got out.
anything or whatever.
Wow.
I don't know why. Maybe she got freaked out or.
She wasn't as game as Shirley was, because Shirley took a lot of
Yeah,
chances.
Shirley. Yeah, to come.
She really
And
did.
Shirley thought on her flight on the way here, 3 American rock
What am I
producers. What the
doing?
fuck?
Yeah.
It could be really gross and
Sure
different.
you
And
are.
then you take her to this basement, and
Sure
she's
you are
like-
the producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really lo-fi.
There's.
She said the first day she did at Steve's house, she was in the living room and Steve had 2 cats and they were sitting on the table just staring at her. She was in front of this mic,
fun.
listening and looking at the cats going, what have I got myself
What?
into? I had them mixed up in their other room, ready to go. Freedy, we gotta finish. She goes, I just can't get these lines. He went into the bathroom and locked the door. Said, just leave me alone. I'm gonna get the lyrics. So he was in there an hour. I'm going. Any progress on those lyrics?
No, but send me some toilet paper.
Okay, we just go sit in there and another hour later.
Yeah,
How's it going?
Eventually I got it done.
And you go, okay, I'm finally ready. It was about 3 hours in there until you got the last couple
It
lines done.
sucked.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, it turned out great.
I try not to do it the last minute anymore.
So this
Kitchen should look the same. obviously,
kitchen looks the
except for
same, yeah. Funny
Oh.
story. Before this was in here, it was configured a little bit different, and we got the Coca-Cola dealer to bring a Coke machine. You had to license the thing. They would bring it in, slept it up here, loaded it with Coke. We took all the Coke out and put beer in. And then we had this little bucket with quarters, so anybody who wanted beer could just get it, and if we taped it so it would just fall out over and over and over. But every month, the dealer would come, and because he'd think he's gonna replace it all, and we'd go, okay, everybody, put all the Coke back in. We'd move all the beer out, when it was in,
He's
put
like,
it
you
in
know,
there.
nothing's selling.
And he go, you guys only sold like 3 Cokes. So after 6 months, they just pulled it. They go, we're not making any money in this machine.
Oh, that's
And
too
I
good.
said, can we buy one of these? And he goes, no, you can't. So they took it out.
Oh.
See that little bridge? We were on the window right after that on this side on Baldwin Street, upstairs. It was a shitty.
Was that a
it was a
warehouse?
shitty. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
it
shitty
looks like it.
studio.
Okay.
It was like the downstairs originally just drywall, and it was so alive again. We went to the Mazomania Egg Company and bought 1,000 egg flats for
Okay.
$50.
There you go.
Had a bunch of our friends come over, and we just super glued them to the wall,
Oh,
and
I
it
bet
just
the landlord loved you.
it just deadened it down. You know, so
Of course.
out of necessity, we didn't have any money.
Everclear.
I didn't work on that, but it was done here. Yeah, in fact, when we had the flood, Art Alexis was here because he liked the studio a lot, producing a band called I think Frog Pond, appropriately named with a flood.
From the flood.
I think they were from Kansas City or St. Louis, and really cool, all-female trio. And on the day of the flood, I was in LA, but I said, Art, yeah, Art's in the basement pulling microphones and shit, and up on the curb. I'm like, what?
Excuse me?
Yeah.